That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to victim's death in a traveling case. But no, we know that's not the case either. Well, it is the case, but not the particular case we're looking for. Hey, guys! Zack here, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. So, in the last episode, well, we did some more investigating, and as it turns out, we figured out one true piece of information regarding the whole, murder mystery that's going on with her former old friend. So, yeah, we found out that thanks to evasive maneuvers, we now know how both doors got locked from the inside. So, yeah, me thinks there was something funny going on there. But in any case, we're gonna go into the third part of the investigation, which is gonna be important. So let's check this. Let's just go in and check it out. I mean, this is a very interesting story. I do like the story behind these games. But this game in particular is probably becoming one of my favorites. Definitely my favorite of the Ace Attorney bunch. 9th of January, SS Bureau, Miss Pavlova's cabin. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Susato-san and I took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolt. You! What are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters? Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine. Thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere. This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Probably because there's nobody here that would actually freak out. There's only like the one person, which is Miss Pavlova, so other than that, there's nobody here. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm. Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Ah! You wicked intruder! Dressed all in black, you are the devil! Sorry? Me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. Yeah. You opened my traveling case. How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector! Yes? Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. It is not enough that he has killed a man. And he is stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Take him away. He is a trespasser as well as everything else. Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right. You are devil. It doesn't look good, does it? There is a cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Alright, examine. Well, I just need to keep calm and focus on the task at hand, which is investigating. Don't touch my things. You want me to show you where crawfish hibernates? Hi-ya! Why'd you throw me? Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think you're doing? Wow, everyone's attacking me. And I was just starting to think she was my friend. Alright. Isn't there anyone who can help me out of this mess? Well, let's investigate. Aha! There he is. What the? What are you doing up there? Mr. Sholmes! Naturally, I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no, no! Well, why were you hanging from the hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall, so it's so full of brag and bounce. Ah, I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. Ah, you again! The great detective. Ah, Inspector! I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere else other than a hook on the wall next time. What is the report? Speak. An urgent report from the great detective can but mean one thing. Yes. The case of the curious murder that took place last night, here on this vessel, the steamship Bura, has been solved. By me, naturally. So, he figured out what the murder is. And now he knows the truth. What? Really? Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to eliminate all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Oh, are we doing another dance of deduction? Oh, this is gonna be fun. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Ha! You have solved it? Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing Student Boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is the stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because, as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories. Ah, locked room! That is point! The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. There's no way that bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You are all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh yes, there's another entrance. And an entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin, despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open mouth at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man! The ventilator? Gah ha 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 ha. You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It is not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. I'm interested. What does he have? What is this? Mr. Sholmes? Do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Alright. Mr. Sholmes? What are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I am about to expose you all to see will shock you to your very cores. Behold! Yeah! Ah! What the? A snake? Why is... Okay, but why is the snake hanging on Stroganoff, though? That took me a minute to process. Like, why is the snake hanging around Stroganoff's face? Allow me to introduce you all to the band. The Speckled Band. Well, yeah. Also, something I should point out is that, a lot of Sherlock Sholmes' deductions are actually based on real stories that he's actually appeared in back when the original Strand magazine that Sherlock Holmes appeared in was actually a thing. And I should point out that they are indeed correct in the context of the stories, including this one. But this one isn't actually correct. A snake. They're not correct in the context of the actual stories themselves. In the context of the original stories, yes, they are indeed the correct deduction, but in the context of the Great Ace Attorney, not so much. I'm not entirely sure how this snake actually plays into this, but we're going to figure that out. Indubitably. Neither of them have any idea what's going on. None of them have any idea what's going on. I'm very confused. Mr. Sholmes? Just one thing? Pray, what troubles you? Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Hmm? Yes, you're right. I think in this case, you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you? And he has no response. You both see and observe, with distinction. However, do you not think that this is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap? How exactly? I think perhaps it's time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death was nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one, last night your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. Ah. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. Sholmes must be right. He has hit the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asagi. He can't speak because he's got a thing over his head. That's funny. It looks like he can't speak with that snake coil around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend of yours in your neck. So, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. And he's going to do another dance of deduction. Yep. The great deduction. The game is afoot. Alright, these are fun, so I'm definitely looking forward to this. Topic 1, Intruder's Identity. Alright. Alright, Mr. Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those hard events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So, we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin that pretentious night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected. Another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent that we see before us. Okay, so so paying attention to this. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations of the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we give, pray? What is the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal, can only be the snake's sloughed skin. Oh, no. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side of the bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it lost its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Alright. A beloved speckled snake. Well, that's not particularly true, but how Mr. Asagi died? Okay, now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this. Alright, moving on. We come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life? And why? According to the data which I have in apprised, it would appear that there was no visible sign of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that the remaining evidence to affirm at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Alright. Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost, but not quite, imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snakebite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There's no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in the traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't. It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend? To train? Alright. Indeed, you put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. And after a period, you summon it back to with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared and did not have been dispatched, you release the snake once more. Do you deny the snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slithered through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom could recede through the victim's veins, ending its existence forever. Alright. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. Except none of that happened. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. Alright. Death by a venomous snake. Spite. Alright, time to do another thing. This concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of the speckled band. I mean, that was true in the original story, but not so much the case here. Time to set him straight, right? Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible. You've solved the mystery. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Sherlock Holmes has become such a household name. Alright, but my dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Uh-oh. And she's like, nope, that's not right at all. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? You could. I would be very happy if you did. But of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Something so quite makes sense to me. I welcome questions as my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madam. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah. It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. Alright, so I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter? No doubt Miss Bove will use some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah. Yes, so I'm not sure it would really be possible to signal to a snake by whistling. But madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sound of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears? These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. Alright, is it time to redo the dance of deduction? There's one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the one in the cabins. Then it should try harder. Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. And he's sad. He's so sad and depressed. I'm so sorry about that. Oh well. Well, time to do the other version of the dance of deduction. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean... Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deduction and turn them into great ones that they ought to be. I had a feeling this was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down on your wrist again. What? Well, my handcuffs are gone again. You've done it again! Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not, I shall see that they're restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Alright, time to course correct. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. I love these. These are probably my favorite part of the game. Alright, Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. Ooh. Does she have a pained expression on her face? Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be another way to interpret her expression then? Let's take a moment. And really look closely at Miss Pavlova. Well? Oh! That's interesting. Claw scratch. Oh, Naruhodo-san, look! That looks like a very painful wound. It looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recently, too. Well, whatever scratcher doesn't appear to be around here. Well, we have a... I believe this is it. Yes. Present. Alright. Yes, when you recall those hard events, the claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Ah! Alright, this is gonna be interesting. When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So, we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on the portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Alright. Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. Alright. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet with which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruto-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Photograph. Well, there's a photograph of here. There's a kitty! Ah, look at that photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true. But personally, it's the little black creature that she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we better take a closer look at this. Little kitten. Look at the little cat Miss Pavlova's cuddling here. Oh, what a cute little kitten. I could vibe with you, couldn't it, Naruto-san, for the blackest outfit. A black kitten. And from the look of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it. Well, it has to be this little kitten, so present. Yes. Alright. Without doubt, your little friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ah! Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, well, the fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band. Whereas, regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we give then, pray? What was the sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which we were trying, but failing to conceal, can only be a snake's soft skin. Yeah. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have known. Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Shom's specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty, or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Well, let's figure this out. Oh. It looks like some sort of... Well, it is speckled, and it is a band, but... what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy, a long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle on one end. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort of common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. Haha, that sounds positively adorable. Okay, so now we've identified it as a cat's toy, so... Present. Done. Alright, time to see what this is. Yes, the thing you were trying, but failing to conceal, is, a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature is now the infamous Speckle Band. Ah. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can be only one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend, Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a Blitzum Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. Ah. Okay, so now we have the information that we need. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. The photograph of Miss Pavlova and Darka has been entered into the court record. Alright, so where the hell's this cat? It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand, and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka. She's so naughty. Alright, so where the hell is that cat now? A beloved kitten. Alright. How Mr. Asaki died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter. The grim demise of the victim. Alright. How did this young man lose his life? And why? That is an interesting... We know his neck broke, so it couldn't have been a snake bite. According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there was no visible signs of injury. Ah. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by thermal venom. False. What Mr. Shrum says is true. There was no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right. But Mr. Shrum seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. Ah. Post-Mortem Report. There are no traces of external injury or poison. Present. Post-Mortem Report. The Post-Mortem Report. Okay. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the Post-Mortem Report. Yes, I knew there was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as facts, we can't reasonably imagine that there remains evidence from that scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an example of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. No, not conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something, or someone. Yes, that is a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose. It's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe that of Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix the seduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? Actually, the scuff mark. A piece of a small glass object of what looks like a scuff mark made by Kazuma's shoes were found by the victim's body. this.
Yes.
Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results. The undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. Alright, so, but if you knew that, then why did you come to the... I don't know. I get the feeling he does this on purpose. Considering that ploys have been stated to be his specialty. I get the feeling he's doing that on purpose. If he knew that answer, he should... yeah, that seems to be the case. And the color of the polish is a perfect match for the color of Mr. Asagi's lace leather shoes. Looking at the mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asagi must have caught his foot on that point on the floor and tripped. Please, no. And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life. No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asagi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in a traveling case. But no, we know that's not the case either. Well, it is the case, but not the particular case we're looking for. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But if this part of Mr. Shum's seduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. Well? Ah, somebody appears to have dropped 20,000 rubles here. It hasn't been dropped now, Harusan. It's been placed. I'm starting to sound like Mr. Sholmes. Stop trying to sound like the great detective. So what else we got? Wastepaper basket. This is a wastepaper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them? But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you. The wastepaper basket. Present. Alright. That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that wastepaper basket. Ah. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asagi's cabin. And, as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the wastepaper basket in your cabin? Nah. You're well acquainted with that glass bell, are you not? I don't know. Is that in that hushed Russian accent of yours? Won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking to Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be... Well, I saw it in this picture, correct? Examine? Yeah, it's around it would have been around the cat's neck, so that would be this.
Yes.
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from darkest color, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. This young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka. Alright, so, but where's the cat now, though? That's a really good question. Where the hell's the cat? If this is indeed true, then where's the cat? I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Alright, so death by tripping over a cat. Kind of a stupid way to die, but okay. Deduction complete. Elementary. And now we have solved the riddle. That was neat. I love that. I love these dance and deduction segments. They're a lot of fun. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it? Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science struggles that suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It is a precaution, really. Yeah, but it's a cat. I'm pretty sure it's fine, right? Maybe? I have no idea. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet, I was sure. If someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it's safe to try and lure the kitten back again? By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin? Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy, I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Cosmo wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... Oh. I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her crying out, and then... Oh, such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... Yeah, he tripped over a cat. Kind of a stupid way to die, but it is kind of tragic. From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Bureau is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. And Mr. Asagi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet. The combination of unfortunate hack factors could have easily caused him to fall over. I must have forgotten to lock my case. And now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat isn't as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself, at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. Because of the cat. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a moment. What about the snake? You're right. Where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Bubble, then whose is it, and where did it come from? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing aboard this ship? Oh, I didn't say? Oh, you couldn't... Yeah, you couldn't talk because the snake was covering your face. Snake is my friend, isn't it? His name is Pirojko. Or something about that. What? What? That snake belongs to you? He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Ha! We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without a close friend, without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But, my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake? Surely you can't appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Pirojko does not have venom. He is harmless. Very long, but very gentle. He is adorable like Granny. It's venomless? Yes. Now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ah, like they say that they milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snake that drinks milk are only in stupid stores. Pirojko eats mouses. Big, fat, round mouses. That would explain the mousetraps. Ah. Oh, so... Is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. Oh, poor Sholmes. He was completely wrong. It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord. And it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It is not my fault. I did not make up stories. My Pirojko is nothing to do with this incident. That's a good point. He didn't do anything, so that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. Alright. So, where's the cat now, though? We still don't know where the cat is. Miss Pavlova? Alright. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But what are you talking about, Mrs. Migatoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident. Except not so much the case, is it? Sholmes knows something. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. Except, says the girl who keeps books in her sleeves. And literally just pointed out the natural habits of snakes. Like, literally, what time, how long ago? Like, 15, 20 minutes ago, you literally just pointed out the habits of snakes and how they work. So don't tell me you're not a great detective. You're smart. You're a very smart person. But in any case, but even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. He knows something. He's got a smile on his face. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh? I am only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Not again! When did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrist as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Alright, so thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in a cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? This is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense that if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Alright, yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Try to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. What else we got? Present this, because the ship's log. Right? Because the ship's log had everything, and has update everything that wasn't of note, except for the entries after 2 a.m. Yes! So, present this. What point are you trying to make with that evidence? I'm starting to see how Kazuma's death really happened, I think. Is that we're starting to see nothing of the sort, and that was the evidence to prove it. If it was no accident, then what should we be looking for is one of two things. Either the absence of something you would expect to find at the scene of an accident, or the presence of something you wouldn't. Most competently put, my dear madam. Ah, I see. I confess your rather languid "I see" doesn't fill me with confidence, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe in you. Well, more than Mr. Sholmes does, anyway. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. Right, so... Okay, so... Oh! Yeah, I completely forgot about the wardrobe, about the message that says wardrobe. It's written in Russian. And yet he doesn't know Russian. Yes. That's very strange. The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. I completely forgot this was a thing. There's no way that Mr. Ostaki could have left this message on the floor. That script. It's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry? What do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There's no way that Mr. Asagi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ah! Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything. Because he was already dead. That's a good point. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asagi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there, if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? So, Susato-san has noticed it too then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves that this was no accident. In other words... Well, we know that... Well, we know for a fact that somebody had to have gone in and gotten the piece of the bell. So... it has to be this. Yes! Correct? This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there is a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happens, then how did one half of the bell end up in here in this cabin? Ah. Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that waste paper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asagi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged a scene to disguise the truth. In order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yeah. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asagi's. Oh, you were wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course, we know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And the only other person in the cabin who died was you. It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I would have left that message. No, not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? I mean, he's trying to help. He's trying to help. Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor. In an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asagi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half the bell behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the earlier hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark, so nobody would have seen it. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would barely have cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Alright. Seaman Stroganoff. I'm interested to see what he has to say about this. Nina is a woman of sea. She's daughter of a strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal. Ah, so that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I gave my tooth. Well, this is almost interesting. Mm-hmm. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? You're a great detective. You should know. Look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through blocked doors? And yet, it's impossible. He's right. Although we do have one piece of evidence now. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from outside. I told you that. Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruto suggested it earlier, so... Suicidal, how can you shift onto me like that? So Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put into you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruto, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolts of the cabin door from the outside. One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Shrums means, Mr. Naruto? Yes, and so should you. Because we've seen it happen. Yeah, the fact that somebody called an emergency stop. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruto? Yeah, we've seen this because of the emergency stop. Point out the telltale signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door across from the outside. Wasn't it... This system, correct?
Yes!
Present? This is it. This shows how it was done. It certainly shows how something was done, I concur. In fact, it's an excellent way to show how easy it is to jump to the wrong conclusion. Oh. But, a truly dismal way to show how bulk could be made. Okay, I know what I'm doing, though. Did you really need to say that, truly dismal? Surely it can't really be possible to make the bolt slide shut without touching it at all, can it? I'm sure that it is. Something in the back of my mind tells me so. Do you really know what Mr. Shrums meant, Mr. Naruto? Yes, and so should you. Okay, so we're going to... Alright, so we're gonna... Alright, so I know it's the bell cord. I know I was interested to see if that system, if that was indeed it, but... present?
Yes!
No. Present this. This is it. This shows how it was done. It certainly shows how something was done. Oh, okay. We're going to lose all of our stuff. Alright. Did really need to... Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. I'm an idiot. I get it now. I get it now. I'm an idiot. Here we are.
Yes!
Present this. Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel, after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe... Yes, it's what is known as the Force of Inertia acting on the objects. Is there nothing Suicidal doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book, at least? Well, whatever it's called, it's the same force that pushes over those books on the bookcase. I also made something else in this cabin move. The bolts on the cabin door. Ah. It was very obvious just after that emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... But then... Hello? Is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like Inspector Hosonaga. Oh, yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the Force of Inertia, if you want to call it that. That's not what it's called, but okay. Are you trying to say it was that last night after Mr. Asagi was killed? Okay, that's indeed how it went. Make it a locked door. The SS Bureau made another emergency stop? When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. Alright, and I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then when we came into the cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asagi's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? How are you out of your mind? You say Bureau made emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm. Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there? Telling you only to press the button in times of emergency. On dark nights when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you? When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings, the vessel comes to a complete stop, as indeed it did a little earlier today. That's a good point. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship? I report you to the captain. You are in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we had now learned of a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin door slide across. Oh wait, now I figured it out. He was the one who stopped the emergency stop 5 seconds ago. That was what he did. Okay, so now I get it. I get it now. So it took me a minute to figure it out. I was like, he's the victim of he's the culprit behind the murder? No, he was the one behind the second emergency stop. So what must we now consider? Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asagi, did the ship make an emergency stop, or did it not? You are idiots. Bury is a huge ship with many passengers. It would make an emergency stop, even in the middle of nights. There would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? I presented it earlier, but now we know that this is indeed the case, so... Seaman Stroganoff? It's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't it? Isn't that right? That is correct. Why? And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine! You rather carelessly left it on top of the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it in our care with a mind to return to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase nothing to report every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until the first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log? That is... because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write nothing to report, wouldn't you? Gulp. Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened here aboard the Esapura. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish. If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh? Why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anybody would steer sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. But then there is the fact... Is that where the headaches came from? Everybody hit their head. What of the throbbing? Sorry? What do you mean? Your head, man! The throbbing in your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. That is a good point. I literally just brought that up 5 minutes ago, but that is a very good point. Everybody has a massive splitting headache. Ah. Oh yes, I have a headache. Have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling very heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right. My head's been throbbing today, too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. And then you were in handcuffs. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe. And had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up at all when that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo. You boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. The stowaway class of an accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Ah, well, Cosmo looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? Seems like. My dear fellow? Does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific designed with it to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, Seaman? I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have been an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals. For aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. Eh? I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. Alright, I'm interested to see what her story is. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yeah, they did mention that. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help, everyone together. She threw away everything, her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. We could not make old drug. How do you say? Dissolve? Talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by a comrade on shore with a small fishing boat. While all the passengers of the SSBR slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion that their evening meals had contained. So, if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. That's a very good point. She would have been the only person there. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh? I wouldn't say so. What? Ah, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins. After which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Yeah, nobody would have even noticed. Quite, and accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. So nobody would have even noticed. The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway. And so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolts of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. Fascinating. You have talked long and said many things. What is point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's true identity. And someone who has abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But, also something I've only now just noticed. Looking at his face, I'm starting to realize the reason that he has stripes all over his face is because of his pet snake. I only now noticed that now that I thought about it a minute. He has stripes on his face because the snake likes to cuddle around his face. That makes a bit of sense. That just took me a bit of a while to actually deduce that. But I don't know any of this. I'm just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am Sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable trait. What? I'm quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes? Do you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind? What's accusatory cry of guilt? I'm interested. Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No? You must hear it with your eyes. For observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come. For one final logic and reasoning spectacular. The truth. Oh. We got another one of these? So, Mr. Naruto, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Shums? With observation, my dear fellow. Just as I said, of these two provocators. Observation. If you remember, Mr. Naruto, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asagi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely. You are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So, we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Kazuma died. Oh. Well, that's suspicious. There's an ink stain on his ass. Yes! That's suspicious. Alright. Seaman Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Eh? Ah, yes, I don't know where the dirt comes from. So, nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain? What are you trying to say? It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform, and I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruto, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves what the stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is. The crime scene photograph. It would have to have been this, correct? Was the purple stain? This! It has to be this. Crime scene photograph. Yes, it's this photograph. And the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform. Ink. A rather unusual color of ink, purple. Ah! Ah, the penny drops. At last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. So he was in the room when it happened. If the ink has been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means... you must have been present in the cabin in the moment immediately after the ink was spilt. Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in Dead Student's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed button to make Bureau do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel. Biff, please. Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty, patrolling passageway. Alright, then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet. Biff, please, you must help me. I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw a student boy on floor. What happened here? Please, don't tell anyone. My little one. My little furry friend. Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asagi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor. Yes, he did. Yes, that is right. So, after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Balboa would then visit the cabin next to hers? Only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard the sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked. So she opened to look, and you already know what happened after. Yeah, he was dead. There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind. What? When you went to Mr. Osagi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why? I already told you. When Nina opened the door of student's cabin and looked inside, I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? I'm interested. Yeah. Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing a black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. So he was dead. I understand, and I believe you. So, is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Cosmo's death at last? Ah, something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? I'm interested in what slipped his mind. This photograph. Yes, I took up this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck, so therefore the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to be somewhat unnatural. What do you mean, unnatural? What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well... If Cosmo tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck, which part of this photograph print seems unnatural? Well? Well, I'm gonna options. I'm gonna save real fast because I don't want to run out of my things, but... So what's unnatural about this? Well, why is his fist balled up? I really don't know what's unnatural about this, but why is his fist... Well, yes. That's why I saved it, but I'm gonna present his fist, because that looks unnatural to me. Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. The exact same thought occurred to me. Okay, so that was indeed it. In a fall, one instinct is to open the palms flat. Yet, here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madam. Would I keep you in suspense? Well, maybe. This is what I found. Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks... It looks familiar somehow. It looks like an earring. I swear I've seen it somewhere before. Looks like an earring. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe. Find the answer with your own eyes. Oh. Huh. That does look familiar.
Yes!
Her left ear. Miss Pavlova, on your ear there, I see you have a crescent moon as well. Ah. What? And on your other ear, there seems to be a crescent moon missing. The little link holding it must have broken, I suppose. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fists. Clearly, there is only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Aski must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night, in Mr. Asagi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. He has nothing to say. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asagi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no. Angel? No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? Okay. Now we've come to the truth. We've unraveled the mystery. When I think about everything that happened yesterday, was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin and I could relax after this horrible long day. Darka, wait! Oh, she went in after it. Okay. I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy. But nothing worked. Darka would not come back. So you went in after her. Clunk. Kachunkles. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country. He was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave that man's cabin... Just a moment. Sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah, of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But, what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So, you've run away. Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. No, he was going to go wake me up. Why didn't I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then Darka jumped out of my arms and down into the young man's feet. And he tripped and fell. As he turned around to look at me, I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. And that's when you went to fetch help? From Seaman Stroganoff, who was on duty in the passageway. I heard Nina cry out and thud on floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Biff. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go." So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Cosmo's cabin to make it look like I did it. So that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door. Yes. I went into the cabin and I looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And I found Stowaway. In wardrobe, still sleeping. Right, that's when he found me. So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the Stowaway. Yeah, that makes a bit of sense. I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper sign. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Suzuto-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged young man's body to good place and used ink that was spilling to write on floor. I wrote wardrobe so that person would look inside wardrobe and find Stowaway. And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up. I see. But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half. Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job. By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway. Yes. Accordingly, the SS Bureau did indeed come to an emergency halt at a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt from the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Kazuma about the fact that you'd run away from your homeland. And it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would he have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Ah, yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought if police knew about me, they would arrest me. Interesting. So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you for a moment, please, Miss Pufflova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Usky really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? I think he was going to get me. That's what I think. Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done it. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There is one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes. What action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was where the young man's gaze was directed? I think we can. First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for the entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night, when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama? Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manners of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze of where it lands. So, when you turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? Wardrobe. He would have been looking at the wardrobe to get me. Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe. The wardrobe? And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Ah! Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asugi's exact words last night? Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. Another opinion? Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asugi's intended to consult his close friend on the matter. And that's how he died. To see if, between them, they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh, no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asugi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently, if you had. Well, that wasn't... Well, that's interesting. Miss Pavlova. I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did. And that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really, I'm so sorry. What have I done? And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Bureau was finally laid to rest. So is that the end of the story? 9th of January, 7:14 p.m. SS Bureau, first class cabin, passageway. What will happen to Miss Pavlova now, then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate for her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia, then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Seaman Stroganov. I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost a good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but... Well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Duh. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes, I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now. Alright. Well, that's happened. It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it even began, then. To think that only days ago, Cosmo and I were laughing together about how we'd tear up the streets of London. That seemed like a distant memory now. Oh? What's that? Is it someone weeping? Oh, why is Suzuto in here? Suzuto-san? Oh, Naruhodo-san. I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack. You know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. She misses him. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over, just like that. Suzuto-san. He had such grand ideas for this visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. And now they've been cruelly taken away. Just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see Asagi-san safely to Great Britain. But I failed. And caused his two closest friends to great pain and suffering as a result. I let everyone down. And I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now, at least. Huh? Ah ha 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 ha. Surprised, Mr. Naruhodo? A little bit. What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them. For old time's sake, shall we say. You are a stowaway, after all. Ah ha 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 ha. Alright, so, hit one last practical joke. He thinks this is funny? Mr. Sholmes? We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences? The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I think we can manage that. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port, in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of the study tours were negotiated by the Department of Justice of both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be. In the light of Mr. Asagi's unfortunate death, I am afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no, I don't care for me, but... Poor Suzuto-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. Oh, he's going to suggest something. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. Right, I'm a lawyer. I forgot. He makes a good point. But there's no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. I mean, but what does he mean? Mr. Soto? Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Ah! But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, but I did successfully defend myself in court. Oh, unless, are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But, as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo, that's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if, by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. So he's literally staking his life on the line for his friend. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma. Yeah, as I said. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain. And he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all of that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Mr. Soto? This is... I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. Thank you. We're on the same page. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, no, no. It's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating. Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest. Give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character. No? Right. Because I didn't defend myself in court, so I obviously know what I'm doing. And you've voiced a sample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the early hours of this morning until the very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. That's a very good point. I think we're going to go on to become a lawyer. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector. After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Alright. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next, and how to best make my report. And off he goes. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Absolutely. Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder. Would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer. I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant, after all. Thank you. And, Mr. Naruhodo, I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Okay, so that's how he gets the sword. I was asking that question about the whole lawyer thing, and if they're permitted to carry swords. No, this is Kazuma's sword. I'm literally just being given to it as a sign that I'm carrying on his legacy. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karama. It's a great sword that's been in the Asagi clan for generations. Very well. I accept. I'll treasure it, as always. And that's how the story comes to an end. Right? Happy ending? So then, Miss Suicidal. It seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. You shall file every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But, before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you too. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course you would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable to behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin was locked from the inside. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you. And not just once, but 5 times! Ha, that number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take a hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. I'm not going to throw a woman. No, I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. He's still here. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling? Oh, well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujitsu technique. Apparently it's called Suicidal Takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I am a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I am a somewhat accomplished boxer. That makes sense. He's been doing the whole hand thing. That makes a bit of sense. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your wrestling throw. Alright. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. Uh-oh. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Hi? Okay. One last time for good measure. As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, a wrestling indeed, and that is what determined the Suicidal Takedown, is it? Actually, no, that was a Suicidal Squash. Okay then. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Karama. Alright. That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asagi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain. And I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do I still don't know what it was. But I'm going to see that place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. Alright, and that's how the story ends, correct? End. Okay, so that's how the story ends. Alright, well, with that then, I think I'm going to leave... Ooh, Crash Course Candidate awarded. Oh, before... what does it mean? I'll have to see what that achievement is later, in a minute, but, what does that mean? Alright, but in any case, I think I'm going to leave this chapter here. So, long story short, we just cleared the second part of this game, which means we're now good to move on to part 3. And now, going into this, we're going to go become a lawyer in Great Britain. And to do that, we're going to spend the next month studying. So, yeah, I'm assuming that's going to work out considering he literally goes on to many adventures after this. So, I'm assuming that actually does wind up working out and he does wind up becoming a pretty crackshot lawyer. So, I'm interested to see how that's actually going to play out. But for right now, I think I'm going to leave this episode here. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter in the description below. Be sure to go check out my Patreon if you want to help support me. It's down in the description. It's only a couple bucks a month, and it does help me out. So I would definitely recommend it if you check that out. You don't have to, but I would appreciate it if you did. And finally, if you want to see more content from me, the two best ways to do that are, one, by checking out my Twitch down in the description below. I stream every Sunday, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, schedule permitting, so be sure to go check that out. And the other way to do it is by checking out the videos linked in the end screen. The top video is the most recent video. It may or may not be this one. Whereas the bottom video is the video recommended to you based on what you've already seen from me. So, if you want to try something new, or see more of what you like, then be sure to check both of those videos out. But, regardless of whether or not you do any or all of those things, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!